one strategic management book, measure what matters, and first key result progress reported with WhatsApp. That is how Doerhrm story started in October 2018. We started to research world's top management model and develop software with the purpose to build a team of outdoers who sets new standard and be the winning team. This year, 2021, our software and a new management approach has helped one of my business to achieve 100% growth in profit. And our IT project team has accomplished more stretch goals. In September, we have a few clients got attracted and coming on board. Some are small SMB, technology company, and one of it is a public listed company. And we also work with a team of synergized partners like business consultants and HR trainers that find our Doerhrm software useful and fitting their training and coaching program. This new management model can be simplified into a 5-step formula, CAPI, that stands for Coaching for Accelerated Growth, Profitability, and Innovation. It has helped me to successfully work on the business rather than in the business. Best thing is, the profit is 100% better than previous year. And the key is in modernizing your people management. Now, step number 1. The top management has to set crystal clear expectation and goal with OKR and KPI. Then strategically align goals and driver to improve focus, collaboration, and better transparency. It gives manager of sales team or project team early visibility into who is achieving their key result and who needs help. The slower teammate can also see clearly their peers' progress and so adjust their effort accordingly. This form of peer pressure reduces free riding and thus more efficient outcomes are attained. Step 2. The managers are to ensure the team is competent to carry out the duty with employee development program and e-learning management system from Doerhrm. It starts from employee skill assessment and assigning training that match with projected growth for an employee, where employee agreed that certain skills should be improved or learned, or that overall performance should meet a certain standard by a specified time. And step number 3, use tools like one-on-one coaching and leaderboard to empower managers to engage the team to keep the commitment to do it well. With one-on-one function, it helps managers to manage the one-on-one meeting with your people, build coach-based relationship, improve trust, and transform employee performance. With leaderboard, it helps to show users exactly how they are performing in relation to others, which can increase competitiveness and engagement. Step number 4, build consistency. This is another reason why teams struggle. You can use progress, plan, and problem checking technique. It creates weekly actionable plan with report on daily tasks. Keep your team continuously progress and in line. Then use a baseline and metric scoreboard to enable the team to moving forward by measuring, tracking, and make consistent feedback for corrective action. And with 360 feedback system, managers can help improve teammates' low self-awareness and alert for adjustment to what matters most. And for busy managers, he or she can use the dashboard for a quick progress and productivity overview. Then, provide timely feedback for improvement. Step number 5. Make your employee reward and recognition work for you and your people. It will help you get the most out of your people, recruit and retain top talent, so that you are getting returns on what you are investing in your people. The incentive and reward program start from performance review with employee competency evaluation and output assessment. Then categorize employee with 9-box matrix to plot a company's talent pool based on current performance and future potential that facilitate employee development and succession planning. Next is budget and compensation planning. This will provide insight on pay, benefit, and reward to help HR manager to create a fair program that really pays off. Moreover, the calculation for bonus and incentive is automated to ensure accurate allocation and save the HR team time and labor from the manual work. Of course, Dual HRM have more function like strategic action planning, SWOT and TOS analysis, health check that tells overall state of your company, integration with accounting and payroll software, and many more little automation and function that help companies to build long-lasting great business. And we really can't explain all the things here. If you are a business owner or managers believe in building your people and wanted to grow the business, we welcome you to contact us for a free one-time 30 minutes consultation with our coach. And if you are a business consultant or HR trainer who are ready to roll up your sleeve and deal with the productivity and people management issue, we wish to invite you to become our synergized partner. Click the link or message us and we will be happy to connect with you. Actually received, we have received the our reminder. Our reminder we probably have mentioned by definition only, by definition. VUCA actually stands for volatility, and uncertainty, and complexity, and last one. Who can actually remember what's the last one A stand for? Who would like to try? Yeah? Yes. Anyone in the chat box? Let me see. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Era. Yeah, that last A stand for what? For those that actually received your reminder this afternoon, we actually mentioned it briefly. What is this A? Yeah, A stand for ambiguity. William and Simon, thank you. Yes. Today's topic is actually we are actually going to talk about this VUCA. What is this VUCA? With all this volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, not knowing what to do. Well, it's all about something a crazy world. Am I right? Can we actually manage this situation or not? Well, we will know it very soon from our today's speaker. I wish to actually share the background of our today's speaker. He is actually a very experienced, I would say, a trainer. And 1 minute, let me call up his well, Desmond, he was actually actively as I would say, business coach, change management advisor, as well as author. And his experience traced way back more than 20 years previously, and his professional experience is actually with Fortune 500 companies, right? Especially for the past 10 years in oil and gas industry, and particularly in change management, leadership, development, and group coaching. Well, and his experience is actually among the company that he worked with actually Franklin Covey. I was actually having a short talk with him. Well, would you like to talk a bit about this Franklin Covey experience or not? He said, no. If you start talking about Franklin Covey, right, then will take another 1 hour. I would say, okay. Then probably we leave it to other times. Now, his experience also with Royal Dutch Shell, Petronas, BP, BASF, ExxonMobil, many big companies that also include Microsoft, Yahoo, Fujitsu, IBM, and many more. Seriously, all the big timer. With that, without further ado, let's put our hand together to welcome Desmond Sim. Come on.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining our session this great pleasure afternoon. And I know it's actually a very precious moment during this time, and some of you might be at work, some of you are looking into that. And today you see, as a presenter and somebody that would want to do webinar sessions, it would be nice that we could have a little bit more interactive sessions. So at least we could be more collaborate. It's not something what I say is correct. I could be wrong. These are all the things that I've been doing in the past. But generally, it will be nice for everyone to interact with me, and then maybe to see, if let's say if you can turn on a cam, that will be even better. I mean, can go ahead. So before I could share what is our main topic, because I guess Sean want me to talk about VUCA. It's not something very new term. It has been around since many years back. It's just that change management adopt this as part of the principle that what we are facing, quote unquote, in today's era, and it's going to be more turbulences in coming years, and we do not know, but maybe let me share something with you guys, and let's see how we go from here. So um, for a start, I want to share something about some people may not understand what is change management. So I think some even confused, can I do project management with a change management person or vice versa here and there? I think you could, but it's gonna be a chaotic environment, because it could mess up a lot of things, because it's two different discipline by nature. So I just want to walk through with you guys. So it's a structured approach of change activities, where you would do some little work, and from your current state and moving into whatever you want to achieve, based on the projects that you have actually highlighted. That I'm sure everyone, some of you would understand, and some of you are in the corporate background, and many of you will be very experienced in these terms. I just want to let you know that it's become more critical, this element, this industry, and it's actually very understated for the past 10 years, until a lot of things that project management and program management, quality management were not able to address. So that's the reason why the change management comes into the picture, and it becomes and enables the change in terms of processes, technology, values, and all those things. So these are the things as it is. Now you may wonder, is there uh, uh I mean, what type of changes that we're talking about, right? Particularly in organization, some of you would be much more suited in whatever we are working environment. There are first thing all, there are strategic change. Strategic change could be in the country itself, the government, the community service, the industry leaders, corporate environment, small medium business entities, and these are the strategic change that could affect um, millions of people, or even billions, in terms of livelihood and the way how we do things. So we got to be very careful if we want to do strategic change, and sometimes we have to put some time, effort into understand, especially that whether you align with your purpose, your strategy and mission into a proper state. There will be a strategic change, and what happened after we do strategic change? Then we will be going into a structural move. you know when we want to go somewhere, there definitely we're going to move something, right? It's like you're moving your house, you're relocate to some other places, so there will be structure change in terms of departmental, in terms of entity, subsidiaries, on all those things. It could be have internal and external factors, depending on the situation, how the company being organized and mobilized. So these are the things that it's already happening if you don't realize as it is. And the other one would be cultural change. This would be something very taboo. I know for some organization, particularly that I mean, even in government agencies, we know that it's hard to change a culture, and it takes years to move the culture, and takes like a decade to change the cultures. So that happens, because it comprises of behavioral mode. It comprises the habitual that we have been actually incorporates into our daily life. So that culture change has become much more difficult. If you have a project of culture change for 1 to 2 years, and then you say it can be changed, then I would say it's a fat chance. It's not gonna happen, particularly in the Eastern country. Particularly in Asia country, it take years to change. In terms of culture. Now, most important, exciting era will be is this kind of change. This will be the process and technological change, okay, which is what we are actually facing today. We are in today today's world, we are talking about AI, we're talking about IoT, we talk about Metaverse, which I'm going to talk about that in a short while. This is something very exciting. First time I'm going to share all those kind of things to you guys. And these are the things that to me is even very alienated to me. So these are the things that keep on evolve from the past 20, 25 years, 30 years, since we have a term we know about computer. Once you understand about computer, that is actually a tip of the iceberg. But today, people don't talk about laptops, mobile phone here, but we are talking about something bigger, something very exciting is coming. So these are the types of change that generally is happening, but more towards technological and something that will shape the way how do we work in the near future. Now, how do we manage this kind of reactions? When you have all these kind of pillars that causing the change, and I like to invite everyone to watch a little more short movie. Okay, this is something very interesting that you'll be very boring. I'm gonna talk about it. It'll be interesting to watch something a short 6 minutes movie. Maybe that will give you some ideas what we're going to talk about for today's topic about VUCA. Okay, it is actually short animation movie by Disney, and for the sake of internal discussion and webinar, let's confine this as a more educational approach because I do not want what Disney come after me of infringement, right? So this will come, they will hunt me down for whatever it takes. So I guess let's give them let's watch this short. Okay, I guess you guys are pretty mesmerized with the video earlier. Hopefully that will be quite entertaining. But you guys would relate. This kind of situation happens to us. Every single of us happens in our life. Whether we started our work, we started transition our new career, we are moving into a new location, we become complacent. We didn't want to take a chance, and that's where the change doesn't happen. And if you don't change, we do not know whether it's gonna happen. So that's the reason why as the movie, the animated movie, was actually trying to imply and show us that turbulences, wave will keep on coming non-stop. It's by nature, it will keep on coming, and it will be bigger than maybe in tsunami. So what would happen, if this kind of situation comes along? So that's what I'm trying to relate this movie and try to think about, how that would be connect to the VUCA's topic that we're going to talk about. Now, why we are facing these issues? Like, for example, like in typical an organization, mainly because leaders are, has very weak, very what do you call less passion in terms of putting up a proper vision, and there's no sense of urgency. Sometimes there are unrealistic expectation, no good sponsor link, then putting a lot of barriers, which means the bureaucracy for the sake of their wins, and change is not embedded at all. Forget about it, and then they don't talk. It's just you receive my instruction and you just go and execute. Don't ask too much questions. So these are the things coming. These are the model that 20th century, that style of leadership of an organization that we are comprises. We have no quick wins, very low adoption. There aren't new strategies. Quality programs don't deliver, and for example, they also, for example, like applications like like Sean's platform. Can you imagine that the re-engineering of those things will take like years and years to come out a product? Sean will just go bust. Myself, he closed the company down and do some other stuff, right? So these are the things that generally picked up by the PwC Consulting Services Research, and of course Ryerson University, or during the some studies. They do a lot of this kind of studies, and of course the other bodies that actually consider pretty reputable with PROSI. So PROSI is also another reputable bodies that always do these studies. Okay, so these are the things that Okay. So and there's some statistic that I want to share also. The would be the top 10 barriers that usually that on preventing the successful of change adoption I'm talking about. So the resistance to change is always as a top. Why? Because we do not know what kind of change that we are getting ourselves into. So these are the things why people are hesitant. You know, they want to stay on the comfort zone. You know, whatever. Let's say, for example, you talk about like inadequate sponsorship, unrealistic expectation, poor project management. These are already happening. But one thing for sure, it's we just don't want to change, and we just want to, you know, if it doesn't break, why make it change? So these are the things that coming up in our life as well, and particularly in this era, because the change is getting very rapidly. Then we talk about some more details about why change is being that way. Now, these are the four main questions that I hope that during these sessions I could actually, I think I have time to basically to talk about, and I will basically talk about what is VUCA and what are the impacts in terms of your organization, your team's employees, and how can you lead the team be more effective. What are the remedies that you can actually hold it so that you won't actually stray and things are will not be going off board. And how can you become a change advocate? These are the things that that is missing also in most organization, that hopefully that embedded culture can be implemented as well. So these are the four questions I'm going to talk about. So let's start about this. This is a VUCA world diagram. You know, we all live in this kind of world. You know, if you agree with me, and whether it's a 40% volatility, uncertainty 30%, complexity 50%, ambiguity. So if you look at this diagram, it looks like we are in battling of the of survival. You know, particularly in today's world, when the Omicron is still stick with us, and Omicron just love us so much, and they just don't go away until certain extent, and this will be eventually be transitioned into some forms of another threat which we do not know yet, and about to happen. You know, there'll be possibility that these variants will become mutated and become a different names. You know, well, whether it's going to be very highly infectious, we do not know yet, but we know these things would come. You know, this will be the VUCA, and this will be the actual definition that we talk about. A coined by the US Army during the 90s to illustrate the environment in the world after the post-Cold War, which is the Soviet Union and the United States. Now today, this historical thing comes back when Russia today starts wanted to invade Ukraine. If you read the news, and US is starting to pose a lot of sanctions and sanctions and sanctions until, you know, one fine day they cannot tahan, say, okay, let's have a fight in a boxing ring. You know, it's about the time of the post Cold War. So it apply by a lot of business leaders in terms of this turbulent and rapid change business environment. Why we need to use this? The question is it relevant to embed this VUCA, or can I just pretend that it never happened? It never happens. It's kind of difficult, right? Because changes happens every single minute from now. So there's always taking another approach, another perspective. We need to learn that change is always certain. That's one thing. You know, it's like no matter what, you need to pay tax until the day you die. You know, two things in our life we can't escape: paying tax and death. So, so be it. So that's how change comes into our life. And you know, VUCA stands for volatile. You know, it's always been fast change, and sometimes up, sometimes down. Okay, uncertainty is always there. What is uncertain? You, which is uncertain. We may know that sometime down the road we can see the trend of Omicron toning down, but we do not know when. So it might be bounced back again. So it's just uncertain. So what about complexity? You know, so we are living in a very complex environment. Every single thing that we do is interconnected and interrelated. Now, if you don't realize today, our world has become much more smaller than before. And thanks to internet, thanks to social media, thanks to mobile phone, thanks to so many things that we can actually connect with our loved one no matter where they are. No matter where they are, we can have Zoom. We can have so many conference tools that within a couple of minutes we can connect with each other, and then we know what's happening over there, which is this kind of situation will not happen in the past 10-20 years. Oh, they thought about it, but it never happens. So until today. So thanks to COVID, it pushes us to adopt this. Otherwise we don't actually learn. Just like the movie Piper, we do go out and find out what's going on. We do not know what's going to happen, and we do not know whether we can change or not. So lastly, A, which is ambiguous. Sometimes there will be a moment of vagueness on the way of how we presenting the information, getting the information, whether it's real or not, whether it's a fake news, whether it's a scam, whether it's somewhat that due to political agenda, due to whatever reasons that give us a lot of uncomfort in our time. So this is actually in a nutshell I'm going to explain about VUCA. So the next question is, okay, we know about VUCA now. So what can we do? What are we going to do? This is actually a very practical and realistic question. So which is what we're going to talk about a little bit more detail. Now, to look at, to address what is V, volatility, it is always that we look at how best that we can adopt, always have a clear goal and execute what is required. Sometimes we forgot about what the prioritization, what is urgent, what is critical, what is important, right? If the critical means that if the things doesn't burn down your companies, doesn't give you a death threat, that's fine. So sometimes you have to prioritize that kind of situation. Always establish a clear goal. There's a bigger goal, there's a short-term goal, there's always a medium goal. And I encourage people, for people that is experienced in environment, look at that kind of in that planning, in terms of how we mitigate and manage that kind of changes. So we execute what is required. So what is not required? No, that means that it's not important. That means that's not important. If you know that is not important, then why we want to execute something that's not important? So we, as we know, we only have very limited time in our life, and limited time in executing, establishing some of our work and projects here and there, and we tend to waste a lot of time. Particularly in our Eastern culture, we tend to spend a lot of time unnecessary. And that's why establishing clear, bigger goal and shrink it down in a shorter goal, small, medium, that goal, and then execute what is required at that point of time. Then we think about it, how do we tackle something that is may yet to be happen, something going to be happen, or may never be happen. We do not know. Then how do we address you? How do we address you? Which is, we need to seek understand, just like the movie of Piper. Can you imagine the little Piper don't find out and understand from this little crab and finding the food? This little Piper will never be able to learn. He has to learn what others doing, unlearn what he or she thought about it, and relearn about it. So this is actually very vital. People forgot about, I learned a lot, I don't need to learn so much anymore. Especially people that wanted to go into retirement and they want to become enlightenment. So I said, don't need to learn so much anymore. But if you live in a city, you live in this kind of turbulence world, well, sorry, you got to look at that. So always when you face uncertainty, number one thing you got to really seek understand. Just like the Franklin Covey, the first habit, seek first to understand. Okay, you need to understand what is this going on. People fail to talk about, why is this phenomenon is happening? This must be bad, this must be worse. No, you don't find out what is going on. Why people use TikTok nowadays? Now I don't have a TikTok account. My daughter is pressuring me to have a TikTok so that we can interact. And somehow if she decide to go overseas in a couple of years down the road, hey, come on, dad. You need to have this account. You don't look cool. So so she pressured me to have an Instagram account and this TikTok account. But why people want to have this kind of thing? So we need to understand. It's become a modest communication model for the future for this young generation that we forgot that it's actually vital for them, but not for us. For old folks like us, that probably we just sufficient with WhatsApp and Facebook, or maybe no more than that. I think so. That is you. So what about C, which is complexity? Since that we live in a very complex environment, everything is interrelated, everything is interconnected. That's how companies being formed, right? You need to have a lot of subsidiary, you need a lot of departments. So companies formed by small teams, departmental, right? Divisional, location, subsidiary, geopolitical location. All these are connected. And if one entity collapse and one entity not functioning, it will affect the entire company, organization, or even a country in terms of doing the work or in terms of operating. So we need to be establishing a very clear and focus what matters, which is very much related to what is V all about. But the V is looking at executing what is required. It's not about having clear goal. Oh, we have clear goal. What are you gonna do? Let's go and take action about it. So complexity means that we need to look at each of certain things in a very clarity manner, very focused, and look at what is going on over that. Why is it so complex? Or because of political reason, or because of limitations of system, or because of manpower situation, all kinds of reason we can actually create these things. Then what about ambiguity? We have a lot of vagueness in our life. Even relationship, we have a lot of vagueness in terms of our staff, with our spouse. Can you imagine there's a lot of vagueness between myself and my wife? And that's gonna be a big problem. So how do we go about this? Is we adopt a approach of being agile from time to time. So I first learned about the word agility when I worked with Royal Dutch Shell many years back. They mentioned that we need to be more agile or learn to be more agility. So I was thinking, what the heck is it all about? Then today I understand. So they foresee that today's world is gonna happen what it is all about. So we need to be flexi and agile at the same time. So what we do is from there we can create a decision based on the process on phases. That's why in project management you embedded agile methodology inside there. That's why you are getting a lot of this today, where you get a lot of people become agile coach and also kind of. It's actually a methodology. It's just that they package it nicely and they sell it like commercially and they become cool. That's about it. Now we can learn to become agile. Like it or not, these things will happen. This thing is running. No doubt of it. Now, since we understand about VUCA and there's some form of remedy we can take on and moving forward. So what's up on this? Like my daughter said, what's up, man? What's up on this pandemic? And how this pandemic's shifting to the next phase of era, which we do not know. So maybe I can share with you what is coming, and you may or may not be agree with me, but just hold your horses and we can talk about it during question and answers. That's something that I want to spend some time to look at. So what's coming? Online shopping. We are doing a lot of online shopping more than ever before compared to 5 years ago or even pre-COVID time. If anybody don't agree with me or nobody is doing online shopping, please give me please type one in the in the chat box. I believe nobody don't do online shopping, right? So this is insane. So the question is, if we are actually embracing online shopping and shopping it online, you purchase things online, so what happened to the mall, right? What happened to the mall? What happened to the retail? You know, so what are they going to be facing? This will be a threat, and this will be a VUCA that for most retail or property that are actually they are actually facing. Okay, so we do not know what's going to happen, but there will be a big shift. It's either we can see all the retail out there is closing down and convert into some other things, which be prepared that will be happening in coming months or years. Okay, so next one will be, so what happened to the energy? Today we face energy limitations. It's not only about us using petroleum, or whether are we going to use petrol in the long run or not. TMB is talking about having solar power. We talk about it, but it's still expensive to install a solar panel in a way itself. But there'll come a day when we do not have sufficient petrol or petroleum to support our economy, and we need to force ourselves to take on something renewable energy, right? There will be like electric car today. Like Tesla is going to full force. A lot of other brand of cars is actually moving on that. Which means what? Which means the energy supplies, whether it's petroleum, whether it's a windmill, and all those kind of things, will face uncertainty. And that will affect our lifestyle. Because why? Because that we got to change our car. If let's say there's no petroleum, there's no petrol and no gas, what are we gonna do? We got to change our car to a battery mode. So battery mode means we need to bring a power bank to charge our car. Can you imagine that? So you may think, oh, okay, it's something very interesting. It affects our life. It affects our life generally. Should the LRT and monorail or whatever and an MRT is using battery to power? You may think otherwise, right? You don't want to take that kind of train, right? So the other one, which I talk about, online shop, retail collapse, possible. In US, in America, they already witnessed this more than 10 years back. The retail has collapsed. A lot of malls has no longer available anymore. Similarly in Europe. But in Malaysia, we have a lot of malls, right? So I have no idea whether they can actually, how are they going to actually embrace this kind of change? So the retail collapse means that there will be a shift the way how we look at property. Whether should we actually invest, or whether we should look at how we can, especially when companies want to move offices. There will be a new building coming up like TRX Exchange. Anybody want to move to TRX Exchange? Oh, let me think twice. In the olden days, people were just dying to go into Petronas Twin Towers. I know a lot of companies want to go in Petronas Twin Towers because there's so many perks there, here and there. But we already got it ready. Why we need to move another building? So there are a lot of supplies of this type of retail than ever before. The question is there sufficient demand? We do not know. Okay. Now what about supply chain? That comes in a supply chain issue. Today you've seen things like not enough vegetables. Cameron Highland cannot supply all these things because of the flood recently. All my land, I cannot grow these vegetables anymore. Simple thing. This is only in Cameron Highland. Okay, what about in the worldwide? Supply chain broken can be started from big countries like China and Vietnam. They manufactured most of the thing in our life. Talking about phones, talking about cars and all the devices and accessories. Almost 90% of them are manufactured in China, and they are closing their borders, locking the whole entire country down, which we do not know what is going to happen. Would it affect our life? Of course, because if the supply chain broken, we cannot do online shopping anymore. We cannot purchase our products anymore. And that's where we will not be able to find our materials, raw materials, and that affect the entire, what do you call, the ecosystem. The ecosystem may not be very, very pleasant as it is. So these are the things that will affect in our life in terms of jacking up and also jacking up our cost living. And sorry to say, our the salary pay wasn't that actually interesting in Malaysia. So that's also become a very catch-22 situation. Now, COVID 2.0. Okay, let's talk about COVID 2.0 first. Would that happen? Definitely would happen because the virus will still keep on mutating. The only question is how long is it going to mutate and when is it going to stop? And when will be the new variant coming in? Is that going to be by Christmas down the road? People are talking about usually it will be very active during winter time. We don't have winter. Right? We're hot and wet almost 24 by 7 in Malaysia. But we get COVID also here. So that comes back to a question. This virus is going to be part of our life. Don't like it or not, you'll be like dengue, you know. If you understand that you get dengue, you know, like it or not, but you recovered. So COVID 2.0 may come, may not come. It will come later. But let's look at that. And let's use VUCA and the remedy and how do we actually going to apply on this kind of circumstances that we foresee that it might happen in a short-term basis. Now, because of that, a lot of people develop a lot of issues, physical health issues, mental health issues. You know, talking about mental health issues, that people are thinking about committing suicide more than ever before. You know, if you talk about 20 years ago, you know, who want to talk about committing suicide? Nobody want to talk about committing suicide 20, 25 years ago. You still make a good living, right? Right now, everything is stuck. Everything is stranded. We are forced to embrace new change, but we have no idea how. We don't have knowledge. We don't have experience. We need to learn as it is, which is quite tough for most people that have been stagnant for quite some time. And they develop a lot of physical illness and challenges, particularly heart. You know, you may not be able to adopt more stress anymore, and your eyesight, thanks to phone, you know, we keep on, every one of us now meeting here, you know, in Zoom. But in the olden days, not olden days, I mean, a couple of years back, we still have been able to meet face to face, which is much more pleasant, which I really love it, because I can know the expression of you guys, whether you interested, you like, you know. Now I'm guessing, I'm just guessing. So these are the issues may develop as an quote unquote major health challenge among our staff, among our employees, among our loved ones. It would be something that we can think about along the line. Would there be a financial reward? People talk about financial reward. Yeah, I don't. I'm not in a good position to talk about financial, whether it's going to be reboot or not. But banking is going through a lot of internal changes. I understand. Most banks are thinking whether they're going to agree, you know, especially our bank Negara will agree to legalize Bitcoin, to legalize cryptocurrency as part of a currency exchange. Whether can all the banks become digital bank in near future. So these are the things that are already happening in other countries like Singapore and Hong Kong. So Malaysia is thinking, you know, like it or not, the peer pressure is coming. So that will be impacted because we do not know how this banking is going to be adopted in Malaysia environment. I don't care about other environment, but here, you know, what happened to our savings account? You know, how can I talk to other people? I'm used to prone to call these people and hey, I need to debit and then transfer my loan here. How do I go about it? Today they just, you know, I need to chat with them. You know, it's like a bot chat AI and telling me, do you want to go for loan? Just press click 1, click 2. Just like we are, you know, on a phone. So now they transition it into online and even on phone. So that is actually called financial reboot in a nutshell. What about talent and job? Talent and job is shrinking. You know, you don't get the kind of jobs anymore. People are losing their jobs. Now, industry is actually cracking their head. What are we facing? What kind of industry that we need that kind of talent? How can we develop and train these people up? Okay. And then Metaverse. You know, anybody heard about Metaverse? You know, maybe not everyone, but Metaverse is really something that blown a lot of people's mind. You know, Google is going inside there, Facebook is going inside there, Microsoft is investing heavily into that. and they're going to develop that as actually they so quote unquote a parallel universe to enable us to build product and services in that environment and make money from there. Can you imagine that will happen in the next maybe 1-2 years down the road? That you do not need a big companies, you don't need a big entity to do this kind of things. Anybody with that skills can build AI, can have virtual reality, build up that kind of development team, and then place those things inside there. Today, I heard that you can even buy a property in a metaverse land that you can cash out based on the cryptocurrency. There's some people, property agent on that level is making millions of dollars within couple of months only. So, wow, I mean, that is really bizarre, but nobody controls that kind of environment because it's free world. So it can be quite scary, and then you may actually attract a lot of our talent to go into that kind of environment. Forget about finding a proper job. This will be something that we go forward. Oh, can you stop them? I have no idea. Let's ponder about that in the coming. And then logistic has become much more the go-to environment and industry for the next coming 10 years, because without logistic, without mover, without Shopee, without all these Grab and all these things, completely is going to change our life. We need to rely on this logistic company is making more money in the next couple 10 years down the road, because we need that. Why? Because we have already established a habit and culture of purchasing online already, and because of that, the logistic has to be present. Without that, it is completely impossible to operate and function that kind of environment. So if you see all these, couple of things, I have more examples, but these are the things that enough and sufficient to disrupt our life. And this life that you will be considering and thinking about, oh my God, man, this is the world that I'm actually living. We're asking this kind of question. Okay, so now we understand change is very complex. How do we manage this? Now, in what I do, as I always offer this as a blueprint model, and this is always a transition model that I offer some of my clients in the ERP implementation, emerging future AI adoption. Okay, originally we call it change and transition model, and this will be formed by 3 pillars, which is strategic, enablement, and behavioral, and it has to go hand in hand with the phases and cycle. And today we adopt this into a bigger picture, where when every time we adopt these 3 pillars, we have to look into the VUCA. We have to look into whether have we actually studied this, have we actually focused what is necessary. We need to face major change in the coming down the road. Okay, this is the blueprint that I talk about, and I always present this to in my clients, government agencies. So these are the types of levels of influence of change. How can we become a change leader? As what the question one about, it's in organization, we usually come in and share some knowledge, like sharing, and to teach internal HR business partner to, sometimes HR business partner will take the lead, become the change champion, or to become the change agent. So this will be somebody that to initiate and become an influence and become a talent that to embed this kind of situation, so that you do not have to crack your head that who can become the best person and to lead the change and become somebody that you can actually comprises. Because bear in mind, these things is trainable, and we can always look at that angle. Because when new projects coming in, new changes coming in, we forgot that internal staff can play a very vital role to steer this kind of process. Because we thought that once a project ends, there goes, we close everything, we shut everything down. But when we have low adoption, nobody using the system, we don't embrace the change, things will come back to square one. And like it or not, this happens in many organizations, even in countries as well. Now, my question, my last slide, say, what if change management itself, with all these kind of fancy model, with all these experiences that I've talked about, cannot enable the change? How many people in today? There will be 26 of us today. Can anybody tell me? Okay, can anybody tell me that if change management, is there a situation that cannot enable the change? If there is, maybe in the chat room you just type 1. If you say that change management is a de facto silver bullet, then you type 2 in the chat room. And then I see whether anybody have that kind of different thoughts compared to me. Anybody game on that kind of the questions?
For me, I will look for you, Desmond.
Usually there, okay, over the years, only this couple of years, I discovered
Desmond, there will be a question from Cheryl Lai.
okay,
She said, can you repeat the option again?
which option you talking about?
Yeah, about the change management can't actually handle the change.
Okay, no, if a change management being put in place are not able to enable the change, that means the issues of today's world is far beyond repair of change management. So we need to adopt a different approach, which we're going to share this in the coming weeks, with Sean. I have another topic to talk about. How do we embed something very different to support the change management to ensure that change? Because even that also, change management is not 100% silver bullet. That's my answer to these questions in actual fact. Because a lot of people would think the change management can do wonders, but in a nutshell, there are a lot of things that we need to look at. Particularly strategic policies, governmental, all those kind of things. I had enough all those kind of things, but there are things that we can do from our part to build it in a way that we support this change management to enable the change. So with that, I think I like to end today's session.